Our artwork today is inspired by an artist called Romare Bearden. Romare Bearden is this guy in the photo posing with his cat. He was born in 1911 and he was one of the artists to come out of the Harlem Renaissance movement. The Harlem Renaissance took place in the 1920s, and it was a time of intense creativity celebrating the African American heritage. In Harlem, a black neighborhood in New York City, talented and determined group of writers and artists decide to use their work to express pride in being African American. Bearden's central themes are jazz, blues, history, literature, and the realities of black life. He was also a writer and songwriter. He worked with many different materials as watercolors, oils, and especially collages and photomontages from the 1940s to the 1980s. He was really inspired by the sounds, intervals, and rhythms of jazz and blues. A writer once said that Bearden created the visual equivalent of jazz. What do you think this phrase means? Look at these images of his artwork. Do you recognize anything? What do you see here? What colors, shapes? What do you notice in these images? What are these people doing? How are they dressed? Can you imagine the sound of jazz and blues when you see those images? Okay, so for our art lesson, we are going to create some collages inspired by jazz and blues. Very similar to what Romare Bearden we are going to choose and design a musical instrument to cut out and create a beautiful collage. You will need 2 pieces of color paper. One could be full size and the other half size. You need pencils, marker, eraser, a glue, scissors, and some scrap piece of paper like magazine or any kind of leftover paper you have around. If you do not have a lot of paper around, just a little piece of color paper will work. So place everything aside and get just your smaller piece of paper. I'm going to use black and yellow, but you can use any colors you have available. The smaller one is for your musical instrument and the large one is for the background. Let's start with our musical instruments. Let's take a look at some images. I have several images of musical instruments that people used to play in jazz and blues. We got a clarinet, a trumpet, a saxophone, a guitar, drums, a cello. And on this other page, I have a piano, a banjo, a saxophone, another cello, and a trumpet. So I want you to choose one of those instruments, and we're going to focus in just one. Take a good look at those instruments and pay attention to every. So for mine, I decided to do the cello, but of course you can choose any instrument you want it. You just want to make sure it fills the whole size of your paper. So we are using that half paper, right? Make your instrument big enough, the same size of your paper. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my instrument again. And I'm going to do my best to design what I see. The cello has a symmetrical design. That means that both sides are equal, but not every instrument are symmetrical. Look at the other ones. So since mine is symmetrical, I'm just going to fold my paper in half and I'm going to design half of my cello. Okay, I think I have a good shape. I'm gonna do the other part of the cello later because I noticed that I do not have enough space over here. So go ahead, design your instrument, cut out your instrument, make sure you are satisfied with the shape, and later on I'm gonna use this leftover to finish my cello. Now I'm gonna take my black piece of paper and see how it looks. When you are playing around with your instrument, notice it, how the diagonal position gives a little bit more of rhythm, right? I think diagonal gives a little bit more of rhythm and looks more like jazz. So we are going to design some musical notes. We're going to start with a wiggly line to one side of your paper and another side. It could be from up, down, left, or right. So make sure you make a nice wiggly line. Now we're going to make this line 4 times, and the lines are side by side, but they are not touching. If you are using a light color of paper, you can use a black marker or any other color to make your lines. Okay, after you make your 4 lines, we're going to design some musical notes on it. So figure out more or less where you want your instrument to be, and we are going to design some musical notes around it. So take a look at those images. And musical notes, usually they have these dots and straight lines. And you are going to design all around your lines. I'm not a musician, I'm not really sure what kind of notes I'm doing, but I just want to add those fun musical notes to make our artwork more jazzy and blues style. Okay, at this point, we're just gonna have fun with your collage. You can add more musical notes, you can finish your instrument. I'm gonna use the leftover of my paper to finish the top part of my cello. And I'm gonna glue, I'm gonna design, I'm gonna color it. So I want you to make sure you really pay attention to how your instrument looks like. And I want you to add every detail you see on it. Grab your pieces of scrap paper and magazine, cut some geometric shapes, perhaps use the cutout of your instrument, a little piece of it, rip apart some pieces of paper, arrange it the way you like it, perhaps you put some in the back and some in the front. You can cut out designs, you can do hands, you can do people, you can do whatever you want. So go ahead and play around with your little pieces of paper and have fun with your collage. After you arrange all your pieces, you're going to start gluing them. Make sure you glue the ones that are on the back first and leave the ones that you are gluing on the top for last. After you glue everything, go ahead, take your marker and your color pencils and design some beautiful wiggly lines, just to give a little bit more fun to your artwork. Those will be your final touches. Go ahead and design as many lines as you wanted, making sure it looks very fun and jazzy and blues. You can almost listen to music from it.